Is he really done or not? 8:49 is our time here on Sports Radio 560 WQAM. Mike Westoff, the retired special teams coordinator for the New York Jets. Mike, how are you, my man?
I'm fine, Joe. Actually, better right now than I was a month ago. So, frankly, I'm doing okay.
Oh, my God. Mike, I got to tell you, it's become – I thought it was a circus at the end of the year. In that last month, it's become more of a circus. All three of you coordinators, you retire. Defensive coordinator says, I've had enough. Offensive coordinator gets fired. General manager out. And there's Sexy Rexy all by himself. What are you thinking as you're watching this whole thing going on, Mike? Is it, I got to get back over to the west coast of Florida and get away from this mess?
Well, there was it was time for me to go. Everything else, it's kind of unfair to comment on everything. It was time for me, Joe. I've been there 12 years, and sometimes we have a shelf life. You know, you say the same things. I think in this business, you need to do that. That's a long time. So for me, it was the exact right time and all those types of things. For everyone else, I think with Mike, with Pettin, he just had gotten to the point where he wanted to try something different. You know, obviously Buffalo grabbed him and hired him. I think Buffalo made a really good move.
I agree. I think that guy's really good.
And Mike Pettin knows that defense exceptionally well. He took Jimmy O'Neill with him, who helped him as his right-hand man. With that group of players that Buffalo has, I'm going to tell you what, look out on defense. In my opinion, look out.
Yeah.
Because they know that he knows that defense exceptionally well, and he'll be able to integrate it with that group of personnel. I think Doug Marrone, who I really like, you know, he worked here with us. He's a good friend of mine. I think he made an excellent move in that. That'll help. That football team will be a factor immediately.
Mike, I got to ask. I know I asked you during the football season, all the Tim Tebow stuff. I thought it became a distraction, and then he was going to start. No, we're not going to start you. He was disappointed and all that stuff. What's it like? I know you really liked the kid and you used him on special teams, but have you ever seen anything like that in all your years of being under so many different head coaches? No,
it was a mess. It was an absolute mess. You can say however else you want. It was really a mess. I was very, very disappointed. There are things that Tim Tebow, as an NFL quarterback, he's very limited in some things. And if you throw him right in the middle of a drop-back passing offense, he will look very, very average at best. But if you incorporate him in different facets of your offense, I think he can be a factor. That's what I felt we were going to do, but we never did it. We would put him in for a play, and I was expecting to see him line up as really, to tell you the truth, in a couple of roles. I'll give you examples, because some of the roles that you played, an H-back,
right,
a tight end, then all of a sudden there's Jim Jensen, who's an H-back, a tight end, a halfback, a fullback, and then he's lined up a quarterback. That's what I was expecting to see, and we didn't do it. My role with them was really only going to be like 1%. That's all I was thinking. Then I got, when Eric Smith got hurt, I had to use him full time. I didn't have anyone. I was stuck because I lost two guys, and actually at times that wasn't a real full-blown thing for him, but most of the stuff that he did for me, he did outstanding, but it was supposed to only be a fraction, and it ended up being his only role. That was very disappointing why that didn't come about. To be honest, I don't think anyone's ever really answered that question. Why didn't we do it? I honestly don't know. I know we didn't practice it. We didn't practice it in training camp. We were going to unveil it. Well, I'm still waiting for the unveiling, and it didn't happen. And it's very disappointing. But again, if you just say this is a quintessential NFL drop-back quarterback, no, he's not. He's just not. But can you use him a lot of different facets? In my opinion, I think he's outstanding if you do that. But we didn't do it, Joe, and it was it was a distraction and really a shame, because that's a hard-working young man if you ever saw one, believe me.
I almost felt badly for him at the end of the year, Mike. I did, because obviously he's not doing anything, and he goes, okay, Sanchez gets benched. We're going to go with, Tim, we're not going to go with you. I mean, I just felt bad. He got stuck thinking he was a backup quarterback, and that had to be awkward when he found out he was still going to be the backup or the third quarterback and wasn't going to get a chance to start. What do you say to a guy, Mike, when you see him out there on special teams with you? Just stay away from the topic?
Toward the end of the year, I didn't use him as much, but I still had contact with him, and he still worked in practice. Now, of course, he had the cracked ribs, and that did slow him down, because that was tough. You could see that was painful for him. So we went through that kind of transition. But it was a shame to see him. You saw a demeanor change. You saw that swagger that got out of him a little bit, and that was very disheartening to see that. And I would just encourage him to keep his head up and that his opportunity would come, and just a few things like that. Really, I didn't have much of a role in it. I knew we weren't going to make a total change in offense, and I think, I don't know, maybe you could ask those guys, is that what we would have had to do? And probably is. And then we decided not to do it. So,
Mike, I don't know.
Yeah,
I was going to say,
if it's just your drop back guy, Joe, no. Lots of multifaceted, I think yes.
Mike, I don't know a lot of things, but I know that Tony Sperano will never come on my show. He couldn't stand me here, and I'm guessing he probably can't stand me when he's up there as well. Hey, Mike, I wanted to ask you about Mark Sanchez. What was that like with him, and what did you think overall of his play? I think he had 50 turnovers in 30 football games. My God, Mike, Don Shula and Jimmy Johnson, everybody else would have sat him down too. Yeah,
sure. There's no doubt. I think there's a thing. I believe, Mark came in his first 2 years, and we go to the AFC Championship game. But I believe Mark, in my opinion, was a manageable quarterback part of a good football team. We were playing good on defense. I had a very good group on teams. We ran the ball exceptionally well. We always had 2 running backs. We had a handful of receivers that could make big plays, and Mark was thrown in the middle of those ingredients. We went to the AFC Championship game, a step away from the Super Bowl. Then all of a sudden, the burden was thrust on Mark, and that's too much for him, in my opinion. Also, I think a whole offense needs to be designed around Mark, and you can say that it was, but there are some things he just doesn't do as well. I'd like to see him get out of the pocket more, to sprint, to boot, to waggle, all those different things I think are key ingredients. Plus, you still need, in my opinion, a very good running game, defense, special teams, etc., to complement them. And we lost that. We all lost it. We just weren't near as good. And consequently, lots is thrown on his shoulders, and the result's pretty obvious. So it's more than just Mark Sanchez's fault, believe me. It's just there's a lot more ingredients involved. I think the situation he was in was tough for him. I'll give you another one. People don't know this. Here's one. Our defense played pretty well.
Right.
But there's part of our defense, and against certain people, that there are some weaknesses. People know that. We, as kicking team, we led the league in tackles inside the 20. We led the league. So people started back in the hole most of the time, okay? But what would happen is that when our defense plays on a long field, they're a little suspect in the middle. Everyone saw that. And people moved the ball up to midfield on us. On the shorter field, our defense, because of our really good corner play, constricted and played very well. Then we would hold people. But then they would punt us, and Mark Sanchez would come out on the 10-yard line.
Right.
So part of that was, see, there's more than just – there's plenty to blame here. There's plenty of blame to go around. And to not do that is really a mistake. It's just throw it all on Mark or throw it all on me or throw it all on anybody you want, because the defense is involved too. There was equalities and all of that. You can rattle off any stats you want, but if you're only, if you're stopping teams that, I want to stop teams in the top 10, not the bottom 5, please. So you can take it however you want.
Right. Mike.
That's how I feel. But so part of that's all part of the equation, Joe.
Mike Westoff, retired special teams coordinator for the New York Jets. You notice that I put retired in front of him, Mike, just in case, just from the Jets, in case you come back somewhere else. Mike,
no.
Is there a chance you still come back, Mike?
Oh, there's a possibility, sure. A couple people have already asked me, and I said no, but that I would consider it at some point in time, maybe. Joe, what I'd like to try, I really want to try this, and I talked to all the networks. I have an agent to deal with. I'd like to try with ESPN or NFL Network or someone to create a little bit of a niche on air with special teams, similarly to what Mike Pereira did with officiating.
Yeah.
I would like to do that. I don't want to be the guy that's going to talk about who the starting quarterback should be, but I would like to be able to explain what happened on it, why this punt block worked, or was it a dumb mistake, or why this kickoff return, what's happening, just that. Keep my niche there. I don't see myself as this NFL know-it-all. We have plenty of those guys around, and I'd like to concentrate on that, and I think I have something to contribute, and I want to try that.
I like it, Mike. I think it's good, but I think you're going to get some phone calls, and I just know you, and I just think you're going to get the itch to take your services and what they're paying coordinators. I think you're going to get the itch and want to come back. I think people say nice. I just think you get to fish a little bit, relax a little bit. You get the itch to come back and get involved in drafts, get the guys you want, get a return guy, get a couple of Larry Izzos, and you're going to be good to go and one happy guy. I think that's what's going to happen.
It's not. It might. I won't say no. It's not as easy to do, Joe, with the system today, with the salary cap and the financial system. So much of the money is directed at the very top.
Right.
And then sometimes if you don't budget your team well, you can destroy the middle and the bottom of your football team. You can destroy it. And that's kind of what happened to us. It happened. And it's tough when you're paying, a handful of guys 40% of your salary cap. Well, what the hell are you going to do with the rest of them?
Right. Kills you. Absolutely kills you. Hey, Mike, real quickly, this is a big question everybody's talking about recently. Did you know Rex Ryan had that Sanchez tattoo with the wife and Sanchez on there? Were you aware of it?
No, I never was. Rex wears long sleeve shirts all the time.
How embarrassing.
And frankly, I don't know. Joe, those things are personal to me. And I never saw it. If I had seen it, I wouldn't be standing there staring at it. That's just personal things. And, to me, it's not. Everybody else thinks it's a funny in a story, but I don't know. I think we all probably have quirky things we don't want the whole world to know.
Yeah, and the other thing is I always tell young guys when they're madly in love, with that girl and they want to do that I go, don't do it, bro. I known guys that do it. You get stuck with that damn tattoo, and then the next thing you know, you're with a different girl trying to explain it. Hey, Mike, I want to ask you about Brandon Fields. He didn't make the Pro Bowl. I don't know if a kid can kick any better than that. What was your thought on Brandon Fields? And it's not a big deal, but not making the Pro Bowl.
Well, we voted for him.
Okay.
Ben and I voted for him. I think he's really good. I always like to judge those positions of how those guys do against me. And I have tremendous respect for him. I thought he had a heck of a year. But there are a couple guys out there that are pretty good, Joe, that had great years. And I can understand it. The competition is very high at that kicking and punting position right now. There's a lot of really good guys. To have not made it is really, in my opinion, it's an oversight, but not a slam. He is very good. And no one should think anything differently.
Well, let me ask you, because you voted for him, was it more about his kicks, that back kick he does inside the 10, or is it more about the fact that if you're backed up, he can kick it 65 yards?
Combination of both.
Okay.
Joe, he does a lot of things. We came, in our first game down there, we came dead clean on him in the end zone to block it. Eric Smith, they didn't touch us. We came dead clean. He caught the ball and kicked it. I mean, he just got it and kicked it lightning fast. He did a great job. If we block it, it's a touchdown or a safety.
Right.
We came just like you guys came against us. Now, different is our guy took a little longer. Like, you could smoke a cigar in that time than our guy took.
And have 3 beers, exactly.
Yeah, he was a little slower. But it just happened. But he's young, and he's going to learn, and he's a good guy. I like our guy. He's going to be good. He's going to be, he needs time. But what the Fields do, he knew the situation, and he played like a pro in the situation. That's what makes a Pro Bowl kicker or a punter. And he did that at that time, or we'd have gotten him. So you've got to give him credit. Sometimes, protection breaks down, or a guy makes a mistake, or maybe you just beat them, and the guy makes the play and he saves you. He did that against us. Those types of things are the reason I believe that he would deserve that honor. But it's not a slam on him in any way. In my opinion, it's just not. But I don't know. I have a lot of confidence in people for whom I vote.
Right.
And certainly he was right there at the very top.
Mike, I got to ask you before we go, just to bring him back down here to South Florida. How'd you get along with Tony Sperano? How did he fit in with the other coordinators?
Yeah, I like him personally. I do. He's very quiet, and you don't see him much. To tell you the truth.
Yeah, you guys are exactly.